Welcome to the deep dive. So, Massachusetts, right, definitely a leader in solar energy. We see panels everywhere, but it's New England. What happens on those gray, rainy days? What if those panels could actually work with the rain? It sounds a bit like science fiction, but we're talking about rain-powered solar panels. It's a really cutting-edge idea. Our mission today is to dig into the sources you've shared, pull out the key bits about the science, the real-world hurdles, and just how feasible this might be.
Okay, so let's unpack this Massachusetts situation first.
Yeah.
They've really leaned into solar. I mean, over 3,000 megawatts installed by 2025. That's serious capacity.
It really is. And a lot of that comes down to the policies.
Exactly. You've got the big 30% federal tax credit. Then the state kicks in another $1,000.
And the net metering is crucial too. Getting those 1.1 credits back for excess power you send to the grid, that really helps the economics.
Right. So for a homeowner, you're looking at maybe, what, $20,000 to $30,000 up front before those credits kick in. Yeah, roughly. And that leads to a payback time of around 5 to 7 years typically,
Yeah.
which isn't bad at all.
Not bad. But then there's the weather.
Ah, yes, the New England weather. That's the catch, isn't it? Despite all the growth, traditional solar panels, they take a hit in the winter, December, January. Production can drop
How much are we talking?
significantly, sometimes 40%, even up to 60%. You've got shorter days, obviously, and snow cover can be a real issue.
So that reliable power generation on cloudy or rainy days, that's the gap we need to fill.
Precisely. How do you keep the power flowing when the sun isn't shining brightly?
Okay, and this is where the rain power idea gets really interesting. Graphene, right?
That's the focus, yes. Researchers, particularly in China and also at MIT, have been exploring it.
Expand that a bit. Graphene. It's that super thin carbon layer.
Exactly. Just one atom thick. The idea is coating a solar panel with it. And the science is,
Yeah.
well, it's pretty neat. Raindrops aren't pure water. They have dissolved salts, ions like sodium, calcium. So when these ion-containing drops hit the graphene surface, it creates something like a tiny temporary battery, a pseudocapacitor.
Wow. So the contact itself generates a voltage?
A measurable voltage, yeah. It's this interaction at the molecular level. Pretty clever stuff exploring new ways to capture energy.
So lab tests sound promising then.
They do show promise, yes. Some dye-sensitized cells with graphene got, I think, about 6.5% solar efficiency, and they can detect tiny amounts of electricity from simulated rain, microvolts.
Microvolts, okay.
Yeah.
But translating that to like actual usable power.
That's the major hurdle, a really big one. See, the water used in labs is often saltier, has more ions than natural rainwater. Real rain is much more dilute.
Ah, okay. Less charge to work with.
Exactly. So current prototypes, they're only generating minuscule amounts of power per raindrop. We're talking picowatts, or maybe 100 to 500 microwatts per droplet. Tiny.
Right, not enough to power much of anything yet.
Not even close. And then there's the durability question. How well does that single layer of graphene hold up outside, day after day in actual weather? That's still a big unknown.
So let's bring it back to Massachusetts. We get a fair bit of rain, right? About 47 inches a year, and it's spread out pretty evenly.
Yep, plenty of rainy days. The climate seems, compatible in that sense. There's no shortage of potential fuel for this tech.
But the output, even with all that rain, the power generated by these current rain harvesting methods would be marginal.
Extremely marginal, yes. It wouldn't make a dent in the state's energy needs on its own, not with the current technology level.
So maybe the answer isn't either, but both. Could these technologies work together?
That's the interesting thought, isn't it? The hybrid concept.
Right.
Could you pair these graphene-coated panels, or whatever the tech becomes, with standard PV arrays? Maybe.
How would that work, theoretically?
Well, imagine, say, a 10-kilowatt system on a roof. In the summer, maybe it's mostly the traditional PV doing the work, generating 8 kilowatts from sunlight. But then in the spring or fall, on those rainy days, maybe the rain harvesting part kicks in and generates, 1 or 2 kilowatts. It could smooth out those seasonal dips.
Okay, that makes sense. Mitigating the lows.
Potentially. But, and this is a big but, these hybrid systems are purely speculative right now. There are no commercial products like this.
Right. Still very much R&D.
Absolutely. And current policies in Massachusetts, they favor proven tech. The incentives are built around standard solar PV.
So funding for something that's experimental would be mostly, what, university grants?
Primarily academic grants, yes. To get widespread adoption, you'd need, well, first, huge leaps in the technology itself, and then significant R&D funding or subsidies from the state. Plus, you'd have to figure out the grid connection, the net metering. How do you even credit that rain-derived energy separately? Lots of policy questions, too.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, from the tiny science of graphene and raindrops to how it might, just maybe, fit into Massachusetts' big solar picture.
It's fascinating potential, no doubt, but still very much in the experimental phase, early days.
But Massachusetts does have that strong policy foundation for solar already, and the research hubs like MIT.
Exactly. That combination, the policy commitment and the academic horsepower, it does position the state well to potentially lead if and when this technology matures.
So the takeaway maybe isn't about replacing current solar tomorrow.
No, not at all. It's more about continuing to push forward with proven PV systems now, maximizing those installations, but also strategically supporting the R&D for these next generation ideas. Keep that innovation pipeline flowing.
And maybe, down the road, you see Massachusetts becoming a real center for truly all-weather solar, harnessing sun and rain.
That's the compelling thought, isn't it? Imagine tapping into every bit of energy the sky sends down. A future possibility worth exploring.